I'm having a rough day, rough mental day. And that means that today I need to fall back on my mental contingencies. So instead of sitting in a hole, which it's very easy to do, we're going to start with making breakfast and go from there. Let's see what we can do to resuscitate the day, if you will. I'm a cold coffee guy. I could be naked on Pluto and I'm still ordering cold coffee. It is currently November 26th. It's Tuesday morning. It's 10:05. I start every morning with two multivitamins and a fish oil tablet. And I do that because once upon a time somebody told me that fish oil was good for my joints. And I'm terrified of being a 30-year-old who can't move. I'm 33 and I can still move. I'm still worried about being 30. So all you 29-year-olds out there, don't worry. It's just begun. No, my 30s have been fine. I actually much prefer my 30s to my 20s, to tell you that much. I'm hotter and cooler than I've ever been. But I start every morning with a multivitamin and some fish oil. I don't know. And then I cook breakfast. Some people like to meal prep their breakfast. The ritual, I think, is important. Having that structure to the beginning of my day is important to me. So I always have it. Breakfast for the last few months has been the same thing. It comes out to about 390 calories. Not necessarily as much protein as I would want, but I do get a good amount of my carbs for the day and some fat. It's a good balanced breakfast. In June, I talk about June because June was kind of the month, I think, that my life changed the way it did. In June, I found a good doctor and I had blood work done and I found out that my A1C levels were high. For those of you who don't know what your A1C levels are, they are a measure of your glucose. And my average glucose was at pre-diabetic levels. I'm not going to throw numbers at you because I would get them wrong. But so I found out two things. I was the heaviest I'd ever been in my life, and I was pre-diabetic. Not a fun situation to be in, as you can imagine. But some people would take those moments as like, oh, well, that's just who I am now. I was 33. I was filled with a lot of self-loathing. It didn't seem like it at the time. A lot of people really genuinely thought I seemed kind of like a happy guy. My closest friends knew that that was not the case. But a lot of outside people really wouldn't have thought that about me. But I made the decision right then and there to change. Dad was 60 when he died, and ultimately it was his heart that got him. I am over halfway there, which I understand is a long time, but I'm over halfway there. And I am choosing not to be that. So yeah, but breakfast every morning for me is 2 eggs. I buy the bougie blue eggs because a friend of mine talked about how she buys those. And I saw them. And I thought, all right, let's see if there really is enough of a difference to make this worth the $4 difference a carton. They have this beautiful amber color in their yolks. I don't know if you can see that. The internet will disagree, but I find they taste better. But also, my family got a lot of free-range eggs when I was growing up because we owned farmland, and people loved to strike deals with your family if you owned farmland. So this is what all the eggs I got as a kid looked like. And I thought for years I just didn't like eggs. But I find these taste different. And these taste more like what eggs tasted like when I was a kid. It was easy for me to believe a lot of conspiracy theories about like, they're changing this and they're changing that. And some of that isn't really a conspiracy theory when you think about it, because like it's true, right? Like GMO, I'm a GMO, everything's a GMO. Things will evolve over time as we move further towards a capitalistic hellscape, and everything has to fit that capitalistic hellscape. We will inevitably change things. It doesn't always have to be a capitalistic hellscape that changes things. 2 eggs and a slice of bacon. Bacon takes care of a little bit of more protein and some fat. You can argue with me all you want that, like, oh, bacon is bad fat. I need 101 grams of fat a day. Doesn't matter what kind of fat it is, as long as it's fat. Everything in moderation. This week, the focus is on the hard part. The holidays, as you can imagine, are hard. Even though Dad passed last year in August, the grief was still very much fresh from that. And it was still very much, I just lost my dad. And this year, it has become apparent that no matter how hard I would have prepared myself, this does very much feel like the first holiday season without him. Even though last year was the first, this year feels like it. And I'm not really sure how I'm gonna navigate through that. But I'm gonna focus a little bit more on nutrition this week. So I'm gonna call it the hard part, because it is the hard part. The hard part was getting my diet right, getting my cravings and my habits changed. And this is what I've been doing to get me to a spot where I no longer am practicing these bad habits. So, number time. Every day I get 2,050 calories, or at least this week is 2,050 calories. I am, for clarity's sake, using an app called Macro Factor. It's part owned by Jeff Nippard. Jeff Nippard is a science-based bodybuilder, and I have watched a lot of his content, and I genuinely kind of trust his work, because a lot of people who show results trust his work, and he shows a lot of results. And as with science, if you believe in science, you know it's an experiment, right? So you follow the track until you get to a point where your hypothesis and your findings kind of coincide. I say coincide because sometimes your hypothesis is wrong based on your findings, and sometimes it's correct based on your findings. It's science. But Macrofactor, I'm not plugging it. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I want to get an endorsement or anything, but it's what I'm using. And it has an algorithm in it that tells me what my number should be. For the purpose of my goals, it's got me at 2,050 calories a day, 185 or 86 grams of protein. I'll put the number right here. But this is really the only meal that isn't like to the brim with protein. That being because this satisfies cravings that I have in the morning. I just want something like hot, kind of greasy, kind of diner filled, or kind of diner vibes. So I make a breakfast Sammy. This is an English muffin. This is a sourdough English muffin from Publix, about 120 calories. It's fucking delicious. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fry off this bacon so the fat renders. The cool thing about bacon is, and this is a conversation I already had with somebody, is that a lot of people think that, like, oh, if you keep that bacon fat, that's more calories. No, there are 80 calories, 5 grams of protein, 7 grams of fat. No matter what, I can rend all of the fat out of this bacon. No matter what, that is going to be 80 calories. Jesus Christ. This stove is unregulated or whatever, so even if it's at low, which like low medium, which it is, sometimes it burns like extraordinarily hot, and then I have to just like kind of be woke about that. If I put anything on this, it's gonna fucking burn. So I have to wait for that to go down. I might put in a maintenance request today and let them know, because I'm gonna be home most of the week. I was supposed to go to Universal with a friend, and she bailed out, and so now I'm just kind of existing today. I'm gonna go to the gym. It's deload week, which means that I am lifting at like 65% of my capacity, which after those heavy lifts last week, I think is a good thing. Can you chill? Can you maybe chill? God, I hate electric stoves. That is like fucking like nuclear red. Jeez, it's like glowing. I render out all the fat in the bacon first. And I use a burger press. I put a burger press because I like my bacon fat and I like it floppy. Fat, wow, flat. I like my bacon flat and I like it floppy. And not everybody is like that. Some people like it crispy. I don't like eating glass. I don't like my bacon to just fall the fuck apart after taking one bite. I like it to taste like meat. Yeah, I'm gonna render that fat out. And then after I render that fat out, I'm gonna take my English muffin and I'm gonna toast it in the fat. I'm gonna soak it all up. It's gonna be real good. It's gonna be like golden brown. Ideally, if my fucking stove doesn't glow red hot with the fury of the sun. And then after that, we are going to scramble up these 2 eggs into like a patty. and I will assemble the whole thing. And then the pièce de résistance is this is a Laughing Cow cheese wedge. It's 30 calories and it's got like 2 grams of protein in it. Fucking good. It just gives it like it's not dry. I don't know, it gives it like flavor. Sometimes I'll put some hot sauce on it because I like hot sauce. I like hot sauce in everything. But most of the time, it's just that Laughing Cow cheese wedge. I used to use the Publix Chipotle Gourmets, but I wanted to cut some calories from my breakfast so I didn't have to be as like restrictive at night. And so I stopped using that, and I miss it. But again, it's about changing your habits and making sacrifices. And people hear making sacrifices and they automatically think like, oh, you have to be unhappy. No, because I'm still happy with this. Like, this is still a great breakfast. Again, the ritual is important. Making the breakfast is just as important as eating the breakfast, in my opinion, because it gives my day some structure and it makes me use my brain right first thing in the morning. Some people go on walks. Some people, get up and immediately exercise. I don't do that. I make brekkie. I think my stove has thrown its fit for the morning, so I think it's as hot. It got as hot as it's going to get. Which is good. I talked a little about this last week in the last video, but people keep asking me what the secret is. And I feel bad because like the best I can tell them is that there is no secret. You just kind of have to do the work. It sucks for 3 months and then you make a massive progress and then it doesn't suck anymore and it becomes your life. Changing your habits really is like, I guess the closest thing to a secret, changing your habits and cottage cheese. Cottage cheese gives you so much fucking protein. No, but the minute you change your habits and you don't look forward to these things that you used to use as a crutch, like some people, I'll observe. Candy. I love candy. I love Sour Patch Kids. I still do eat Sour Patch Kids. I actually, my friend Brittany got me a bag of Sour Patch Kids at the movie theater. We saw Wicked this weekend. So fucking good. Go watch it. But she got me a bag of Sour Patch Kids at the theater, and I thanked her like 7 times. Just because like I love Sour Patch Kids, and it was very sweet of her to be like, hey, is there candy you want? I was like, Sour Patch Kids. I eat Sour Patch Kids a lot, and actually sometimes eating like a handful of them before the gym, if you have the calories in your day, is a perfect little pre-gym snack. However, I have switched over to pre-workout, and I talked about pre-workout last week. Ode to pre-workout. But yeah, it's about changing your habits, and it's about taking things you used to use as a crutch and either finding how to adapt them to your new lifestyle or just coming to terms with the fact that you have to give them up. I understand sacrifice makes people unhappy, and I understand some people are hedonists and they like to live a life that effectively is one that just like rewards them for doing what they want all the time. That is not how I can live anymore. I have proven to myself I cannot be trusted in that sort of lifestyle. So I don't live that sort of lifestyle anymore. It was detrimental to me and it was killing me. I also want to, I don't want to give the impression that I think my personal worth is tied to my weight, but I did get confirmation in June that my personal health is tied to my weight. Take that as you will. This is a me story, not a you story. I'm only here to give you my story and hope it helps. If it doesn't, that's a you problem, baby girl. We got our floppy fucking bacon. Hate on me all you want, you savages. My ancestors smile upon me. And now this is the important part. I'm going to take the English muffin and I'm going to soak up all of that good bacon juice. Just that delicious fucking bacon sauce. We're going to soak all that up. And then I'm going to take the burger press and I'm going to push that on top of the English muffin. Why are you doing that, Hayden? You get this really nice like steamed effect on the top of the English muffin. It is a little greasy, like a diner. Like I said, it's like a whole thing that I like crave, right? Like some people are like, ew, Grace, I'd fucking shut up. I know, but it's this breakfast diner sandwich quality shit that I genuinely just like every time, So yeah, I'm gonna swirl that around a little bit. Movement is important. Movement is important because movement is important. See, the ritual is important because there's these little things that I do that have created the texture and the flavor that I want. And I understand that it is a breakfast sandwich. It shouldn't be this like complicated. You get into these little routines, and what makes these little routines rewarding is that you learn little methods to make them better. Like genuinely, and it's not about like little easy tasks. You find ways to not necessarily complicate them, but you find ways to like doctor them up. Toast that just a little bit more, just like a minute. You find ways to doctor them up, and you find ways to personalize them to you. And that's what makes the journey like worth, because so many people see these things as like, oh, it's just these little mundane tasks that I don't want to do all the time because like I like exciting. I like this can be catered to you, and it could be something that you look forward to. It's the simplicities of life. I'm an engineer, not a real engineer, but I am a sort of engineer, and these little moments just like they matter to me because they add flavor and they add, you know, like variety to my day. And I do think it's okay to have both of those things. So that's probably good enough. Oh yeah. Yeah. Asbestos fingers over here. That is a perfectly toasted English muffin. Now the fun part, I am going to take these chemicals. Everything is chemicals. Grow up. I am chemicals. There's arsenic in apples. We are just going to splat that all into that pan. We are going to let that get to a point where you can make like an omelet out of it. You got to get real good at making omelets if you're going to make this kind of breakfast sandwich. I was never good at cooking eggs. I realized it was something I had to learn. So I did. And while that's happening, I'm going to take my Laughing Cow cheese wedge, which I pulled out of the fridge earlier, but I staged that in the fridge. They were actually in the cabinet overnight. And before anybody comes in, like, yeah, that's gross. They're stored on the cabinet in the grocery store. They tell you to put it in the fridge when you get to your house because you're probably going to forget you have them, and they're going to sit in there for like 2 weeks, and at least they won't go bad. Because like, yeah, they're not probably supposed to not sit out like that. Also, I think they're just like, I think the manufacturer just thinks they're served better chilled. I don't think the manufacturer is expecting me to like spread this like a fucking heathen on an English muffin for my breakfast sandwich in the morning, because I don't want cheese. However, here's the funny thing is I thought I was lactose intolerant. And this is the kind of thing you learn about yourself when you go on a journey like this. I thought I was lactose intolerant for like 2 years. Turns out I was just eating like shit. Turns out I was just like giving myself IBS because all I ate was fucking junk food. I am not lactose intolerant, but I do prefer the taste of lactose-free milk. I eat a lot of cheese. Cheese, especially fat-free cheese. It's like, oh, it's processed. Just shut up. But I eat a lot of fat-free cheese, which is like a protein cheat code. Fat-free cheddar specifically is so much protein in it. Something like 45 calories. And it has more than 1 gram of protein per 10 calories, which is like usually what I aim for, except for in my breakfast. My breakfast is sacred, and I get what I want out of my breakfast. This is fully a flavor thing. All right, I did not cook these eggs enough to be doing what I'm doing with them. And like, that's fine. Fuck me, I guess. This is not gonna be a pretty sandwich. Now, some mornings, and this is like the closest I get to divination, right? Like some mornings I wake up and my breakfast sandwich isn't pretty, and I'm like, okay, it's gonna be one of those days where like the things I do aren't gonna be pretty, but that's okay. They're still worth doing. I don't really believe that, but I do think it's funny to say. And I think it's a good point, you know? Like I think like sometimes you wake up and your life doesn't go as planned. You get to eat a big lump of eggs with your fingers on camera for people to watch. Life doesn't go as planned. It's just good fucking eggs. And it's okay. It really is. They are still worth doing. And that is the point I wanted to make with breakfast. This is why the ritual is important, because now I have internalized, I have been able to tell myself that breakfast didn't necessarily go exactly as planned. My day may not go exactly as planned. Yesterday may not have gone exactly as planned, but it was still worth doing. And that revelation, if you will, is worth its weight in gold. Because some people will throw away the whole fucking day. Some people will just give up, and they will allow it to win. They will allow the chaos and the discord to dissuade them. And I am here to urge you this week, in the midst of the hard part, don't do that. Here's my breakfast. Not necessarily as pretty or as picturesque as I wanted it to be, but still going to be delicious. It's still going to be the best part of my day. I'm going to go eat this, and I will see you all later for dinner. It is Thanksgiving in the United States today. And I had a good day. I guest starred on Paul's stream playing some Resident Evil 6, which is not a good game, but we had a lot of fun. And I ate a full plate of food. which is I kind of like guesstimated at the calories, but it's probably an underestimation. But you know what? I guesstimated, and I did the best I could. And I'm gonna go to the gym now. It was a long day, and that doesn't matter. I'm gonna go to the gym, and it's because I want to, and I feel like I can. So good thing it's deload week. I planned that very well. I love that all of the end of the year holidays are in the last weeks of the month because I can do things like go do deload week. So I'm not working super hard after eating a whole bunch of like carbs. But yeah, I had a full plate of food. I want to reiterate that. And I'm not going to let it bother me because it's the holidays and I feel like that's acceptable. And again, like when you make a decision like that, you are basically deciding you're okay with the journey taking a little longer than it would if you didn't make those decisions. But also, I understand it's not really going to add that much. It takes something like 3,600 calories to put on a pound of weight. And I feel like I probably didn't eat 3,600 calories more than my maintenance calories today. So, cheers. Anyway, I hope everybody's having a happy holiday. I'll see you tomorrow. I complain a lot about deload week, and it's because I'm one of those people who gets enjoyment out of when the work is really brutally hard. But the reality is that every now and then it's fine to slow down a little bit, take it slow, and work on yourself in ways that you didn't realize you needed to work on. For instance, in this set, you can't see it, but I had a moment right around rep 2 or 3 where I stretched out my knee in a way that I had needed to stretch it for days and days, and it felt really good. So I do recommend every now and then, even if you've gotten to a point where hard work is all you know, slow down, take it easy, and find anything else to work on. You will find a lot to be proud of yourself for. Saturday night, I'm going to meal prep. I like to meal prep as opposed to cooking every night because the reality of it is I don't have the time to cook every night. We all like to tell ourselves, oh, I'm going to have time to do this. I'm going to make time to do this. It's going to be great. You don't always know that you will. And I know that for some of you, I'm preaching to the choir. But for other people, I talk to them about what I eat. And they're like, how do you have all this time to cook? It's simple. I don't. And I think it's important to be real with ourselves about that. Because if you go on expecting yourself to have all this time that you really don't, you let yourself down. And it is okay to let ourselves down from time to time. But you want to avoid doing that if you can. What I'm preparing tonight is, dear God, tell me that these are the same pasta sauce. Cool. What I'm preparing tonight is a TikTok recipe that I feel no shame using a TikTok recipe because, people can cook everywhere. There are people who, like refuse to let themselves learn new things from places that they've deemed unworthy or places that they've deemed stupid. And I'm not one of those people. Because I'm not a gatekeeper. I'm also realistic. So what I'm doing is I have a recipe written down right here for a honey chipotle chicken pasta. It's really, really good. I really, really enjoyed it when I had it. So I'm going to eat that till I'm tired of it. And then I'm going to find something else. My friend Lindsay sent me this recipe. I will put the name of the TikToker who created it here. But yeah, I don't know. It has gotten me through the last couple weeks. And I have a pretty light week coming up. So here's hoping it gets me through this week as well. There's also a couple of things I know I'm going to change about it. So that's cool. But I'm going to go ahead and make a sauce. The sauce is the most important part of this. Because if the sauce tastes bad, all of it's going to taste bad. But it is important to be realistic with yourself. And I think being realistic with yourself gives you a head start. Because not only do you get that thing of like, okay, I'm not going to have time to do this. So when I do have the time to do it, I should do it. Which gives you a little bit of like the adult in the room is talking. It also, again, lets you set realistic expectations. This dish that I'm making is going to be about, per serving, it's going to be about 50 grams of protein, 18.5 grams of fat, 61.7 grams of carbs, which is a lot of carbs for me, but a lot of the time I will eat pretty low carb for at least one of my meals, so it all evens out. I don't really eat a lot of sugar anymore, so I don't have to worry about that. I love cottage cheese. This goes back to that thing I was talking about, how you have to update your habits. You have to get in the mindset of like, I'm going to have to try new things. I'm going to have to really dial in on things. This is one of those things. I like to weigh everything as opposed to like measuring it with like a cup or something like that, because weight gives you a more exact measurement. It lets you control your macros a lot closer. The harsh reality of dieting and losing weight is that people who complain, oh, no diet works, oh, I try everything and I don't lose weight. The reality is that you're not tracking correctly. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I do think there's something to be said for realizing that you're not doing something that's very hard correctly. And I think people take that as an insult. Like, what do you mean? It's so easy. I know what I'm doing. I know my body. Sure, and then you eat something that is much higher in oil than is, anticipated, or you snack on something that you think is small that, oops, it has, that is right on the money. Oops, it has, 200 calories and you didn't realize it. You didn't think, like, there's surely no way that this has this many calories. Or you misread a serving size. And I did that for years. 4 years was like, I don't know how to lose weight. I don't know how to do any of this. And it's because I was just making these mistakes that I really had to dial in and make sure I wasn't making. Because my goal is to lose weight. My goal is to recomp. My goal is to get healthier and to keep myself healthy. Come hell or high water. It's not the right. No. Go in. There we go. These are, my goals needed to align with the reality. And the reality was that I wasn't doing it properly. Can you chill? And it took me understanding those harsh things about myself before I could make the change. You will have a lot of people. Pull the trash can a little closer. You'll have a lot of people in your life who will make excuses. And those excuses will carry validity. I'm not one of those people who tell you that your excuses aren't valid, because they are. But I will tell you that they are excuses. And the best way to not have to make those excuses anymore is to find the way. Because I made them too. And I took accountability for myself because I had to. For no other reason other than it was for me and I had to. People get very insulted when you tell them they're doing something wrong. I, for years, got insulted when I was being told I was doing something wrong. And it wasn't until I grew up that I realized there's nothing wrong with doing things wrong. There's everything wrong with never acknowledging that you were doing them wrong and refusing to fix those things. People who know me really well have heard me say before that your body is a toddler. You have to be the adult in the room. Your body has cravings. That's all it knows. When your body goes, I want chocolate, or like, I want ice cream, and you've already eaten, 3,000 calories for the day, you have to be the one to go, no, I don't need that. I don't, no. You have to make that voice louder than the one saying it wants all these things. And that is so not easy. That is only a gram, Jesus. That is so not easy. Don't let me sit here and tell you that it is, because it is so not. Everybody's watching me peel garlic. Don't let my Cajun ancestors see me peel this garlic. What I'm really doing is I'm trying to minimize. I'm still fairly new to filming with the lavalier mic that you see. I'm still learning how to do that. So I am minimizing noise. This is probably a phase I'll get out of. I'll get used to talking more while I'm not doing things. Or I'll just change the way I do this. I don't know. I will adapt. Which, throwing back to the theme of the week, is the hard part. Adapting. I will say so many things are the hard part, and it's because they all are. All of them are the hard part. This is not easy. It was never going to be easy. Internalizing that begins and ends with I'm doing something wrong. Of course you are. It's difficult, not intrinsic to how we are. So these are things that I reflect upon when I make dinner. All the things I did wrong. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that. Don't like fixate on things you did wrong. It's like I said earlier in the video, just because something didn't go as planned doesn't mean it wasn't worth doing, because some mistakes are happy mistakes and other mistakes are learning experiences. Everything I ever did wrong was a lesson I learned, and no one has ever taught me as much as I taught myself. And where I go with that isn't necessarily that no one's ever taught me anything. It's that I learned it because I wanted to, because I needed to, because it was something that I wanted and needed in my life. My oven is done, but genuinely something that I had to realize early on, because I don't learn the same way some people do. I don't learn the way that the royal they expect us to. Something I had to learn really early on was that it's a two-way street. If I wanted to learn something, I had to learn it. Would you stop turning off? It's a two-way street. If you don't want to learn something, you won't. If you do want to learn something, you will. I believe in you. You need to believe in you. We all need to believe in ourselves. There's 120 grams of milk going into this. Milk and marinara sauce. It's exactly as much as I had. That's amazing. I have like real good honey that's like from here in Florida that I got to like help with my allergies, and it did help. And then there's this other honey that is also from right here in Florida, but it's not as close as the other honey is. So here's a cool trick that if you move to a new place and your allergies are really bad, buy local honey, because there are histamines, any histamine, I don't know, one of those in there that acclimate you to the local bullshit. Someone told me that, and I thought it was hippy-dippy bullshit, but the science is sound, the science is there, and it worked. I started drinking honey in my tea every morning, because I'm one of those people who make tea. Honey in my tea at night, and over time, my allergies weren't as bad, which I thought was pretty cool. So this is my sauce. This is going to get blended up. Last time I had to run the fuck out of it. I'm not going to have that problem this time, because I shook it properly. There was a part of me that like wanted to go out and get like a beer and a pizza, like a whole fucking pizza tonight. I obviously am not doing that. But there's still a part of me that's like, I might do that. No, tonight I'm going to eat literally just chicken thigh. 300 grams of chicken thigh. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I had a stroopwafel. It was so good. They had them at Aldi. But push and pull, right? Like I ate something that was high in carb. So now I have to eat something that's low in carb, because I have to stay in those macros. If it fits your macros, you can have the stroopwafel. You can have the Sour Patch Kids. This is therapeutic to me. I lined this with foil. I cut it out of the video because it's a lot of noise. I didn't want all that noise in there, but I lined it with foil. This is therapeutic to me in the way that the process helps. You know what I mean? Like, genuinely, the process helps. I talked about routine and how starting your day with routine really helps to set the vibe, right? Having a routine with everything that you need to do that needs to become a habit will help your brain look forward to the routine. You find little things you like about it. Usually I'll have Netflix going. The sacrifices I make to make content for you. No, usually I'll have Netflix going. I'll be watching something. I get a lot of watch time in when I'm making food, because my TV is right behind, like that way. Like I'm looking up, I have Arcane paused right now. I'm not in season 2 yet, no spoilers. I have that routine when I do this, that I watch Netflix, and it helps me look forward to it, because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna watch something new. I'm gonna listen to something new. I'm gonna zone out. It's gonna be awesome. And it came with me realizing that I needed something else to engage my brain with while I did these things. Because without that something to engage my brain with, I wasn't getting anything out of it. And so I needed to wrap those two things up in a ball. I needed to take something, this is going to be good for me. So I needed to pair that with a vice. I needed to pair that with like I'm going to do something that's ultimately going to be good for me, that can be something that I dread. And I'm going to wrap it up with something that I like doing. And it's the same as how I watch anime on the elliptical. I'm watching Dan right now. Dawn to Dawn. I just watched Chainsaw Man. Anybody wants to talk about those, let me know. I make a lot of stuff that's really good, and my friends like eating it, and they're like, oh man, this is so good, what did you do? I cared. Also, I probably cooked it like 6 times, and I went, this is ass, and I kept cooking it until it wasn't ass. And that's like really the secret, right? Good news, besties, I have put my water to boil. When it gets up to a boil, I will add 8 ounces of dry pasta, which means that every day that I eat one of these, I will be getting 2 ounces of pasta. Dry, but like wet. 2 ounces plus more of wets. It's not always easy sticking to this, like at all. And I know I've said that a couple times, but it's not. I genuinely just wish I could go back to just eating trash all the time. But I can't, so I won't. And it's important that I continue telling myself, like, we're not doing that again, right? Like, that's not how this is gonna go. It's imperative that I keep telling myself that, because if I don't, I'm gonna die. That's really melodramatic of me, but it's not entirely inaccurate. Yeah, that's my sauce. I'm very proud of it. It's very orange. The adobo, it was not that color last time because the adobo I put on the chicken, but it's in there now, and I like that. The flavor, it's all going to the same place. It's like your weirdest aunt on Thanksgiving. It's all going to the same place. It's like everyone you talk to who eats food at a wedding. It's all going to the same place. It's like everyone you talk to who eats weird food with other weird food. It's all going to the same place. I mean, it is. Why are you smoking? I'm gonna yell at my kitchen some more. Making habits is crucial. And I'm gonna harp on that for the rest of my life. This change came around because I made habits. This change didn't come because I woke up one day and decided I was going to be different. This change happened because I kept waking up and deciding I needed to be different. And that's the key. I never once stopped telling myself this is what I wanted to be, this is who I wanted to be, because I haven't yet, and I'm not going to anytime soon. But I will tell you a secret. It's going pretty well, because I'm committing. I'm gonna go finish making my meal prep for the next 4 days, and then I'm gonna make dinner. And then I'm gonna watch Arcane. And it's gonna be a really nice night. Next week I start a new cycle, which means I'm gonna talk about all the new. I'm gonna talk about what that means. I'm gonna talk about what that's going to continue to mean. And I hope you'll join me. But until then, go forth and put light in the world, you fucking legend. And I will see you all very soon. Kisses.